Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Michigan continuing the momentum on the 2024 high school recruiting trail, landing a very interesting prospect. And you're going to get a lot of the fans on Twitter, probably not Michigan fans, but the Ohio State fans, a lot of other fans kind of talking about three-star U. Obviously, we took Micah Capana this weekend as well. Devon Baxter, three-star edge rusher for Maryland, committing to Michigan, and you dig into the player. Kind of an interesting get for Michigan. This is a guy who goes 6'6", 225. For sure checks the length and athleticism thresholds for that edge rusher and what you want to see in an edge rusher. Also plays a little bit of a tight end role for his high school team. So you're getting a dude that, maybe a little bit raw in terms of needs to put on some weight, probably refine the pass rush a little bit. But what you are getting is an elite athlete that can play in space, and what Jesse Minter wants to do on the defense side of the ball. You're asking some of your edge guys to drop in the flat sometimes. It's imperative to have dudes that when you want to play multiple different defenses to do multiple different things. And I think that's exactly what you're getting in a guy in Devon Baxter, and probably why it's a take for Michigan, even though he's a three-star edge and the fans are going to be upset. Before we dig deeper into Devon Baxter again, just want to say thank you to you guys and especially the Michigan fans. Nothing I love talking about more than Michigan football and high school recruiting. You guys have been absolutely awesome with all the support. So if you do enjoy the updates, it's been a busy last couple of weeks. Consider subscribing to the channel. Again, we appreciate all the support you guys have shown the fellas. Without further ado, Dale, let's get into it. Thoughts on Michigan's general recruiting class in 2024?
I mean, this is where some of the Michigan fellow fans kind of get on my nerves because it's like the second they start missing a recruit, the boogeyman of NIL comes up, which I find infuriating. It's like guys go to different schools. It's not like Michigan's the only school in the world that produces pro talent and is a place where people want to go. It's like Tennessee, a very attractive program. Florida, same thing. It's I don't know. It feels like part of the game. And then the second like two things go wrong, everyone's acting like the house is on fire. It's like it's still going to be a really good class. They got the headliner at quarterback. And again, I don't know, like I feel like people are starting to get antsy, but it's just how this game goes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of disappointment. I'm not like when Aaron Childs commits Sunday night to Florida, like that's a little bit disappointed. It was a linebacker that was high on Michigan's board. You don't land him. I get it. But yeah, there is an extent that it's just that Michigan's still building a really good 2024 class. And the thing you got to trust, and this has to do with Devon Baxter and Micah Capana, who we took from Bishop Gorman on the weekend. Trust the staff's evaluation on the guys. Like Micah Capana is a guy that, 75 touches his junior year, averaged 14.3 yards per carry. Mike Hart has done a phenomenal job in that running back room. If Mike Hart wants to go out and make Micah Capana a priority, and yeah, you might miss out on a guy like Taylor Tatum, but being able to lock up your running back two in the class, I'm not going to fight Mike Hart on his evaluation.
That's the thing. Like, if the product on the field sucked and they weren't recruiting very well, yeah, I'd be up in arms too. And I'd be leading the charge of complaining like, oh, we got to make a change, yada, yada, yada. That's kind of my mentality. But it's like they're killing it on the field. It looks like we're going to have a good year this year. In just but sometimes I feel like, I don't know, people get all wound up about missing out on a player.
And it's almost wound up on the stars. And you got to keep in mind that like the star rankings, 24/7 Sports on 3, they hire scouts. They put these rankings together. Michigan's scouting department might have a completely different evaluation on a guy like Devon Baxter in terms of how he might fit the scheme, the type of person he is. So there's a lot of other factors that go into offering these guys and taking their commitments that a lot of Michigan fans, including myself, might not see. But at the end of the day, Michigan continues to win football games the last couple of years, develop players, and put guys into the NFL draft. So at this point, there's an element of just trust the staff, trust with the player development, and I think
one thing I would really want to know, and obviously I'm not like deep into the insider recruiting kind of world, but do you think at all teams or like a Michigan might recruit guys differently depending on how long they think they're going to be there? It's like right now coming into Michigan, guys don't come in and can't usually play as true freshmen. It's just not that type of team. Like you got to come in and
Well, that's probably what something Florida sold to Aaron Childs. Like, Michigan has an elite depth chart right now, like in 2023, and it's going to be good in 2024. That makes it sometimes hard to sell to those top guys. You're going to be able to get playing time right away. Florida, on the other hand, their depth chart's in shambles. So a guy like Aaron Childs comes in, you can be, hey, you're going to play pretty damn early for this Florida team because we don't have any good linebackers on our depth chart.
But then it also gets to me like, what's the point of recruiting a guy who's going to be there for a year? It's like you're starting to see some teams. Alabama's kind of on that list where they're turning over.
Yeah.
Yes, they recruit a really good class, and then they lose 4 of their top 10 in the following year. And it's not to say you don't
Texas A&M in 2020
top dogs, but like I do wonder if, again, Michigan does have some giant like ultra high star recruits in this class for sure. You look at, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but I do wonder, like, do you recruit a guy like Rod Moore because you know he's going to be there for the long haul, and just you didn't have to worry about him transferring. He comes in, develops into an excellent player, essentially what would be a high 4, maybe a low 5-star player.
I think Rod Moore is a perfect example of like player evaluation and player development. And Rod Moore was a mid 3-star, maybe even low 3-star coming out of high school, and he starts playing immediately as a true freshman, has been one of the best players on the team the last 2 years, and sounds like is going to be an NFL draft pick in 12 months. Ronnie Bell's another example. Mike Bear, Mikey Sandstrill. I mean, Hassan Haskins. Like, that was a lot of Michigan fans were kind of citing Hassan Haskins when you take Mike Campana. It's like the star.
I also don't want to get this into like a stars don't matter debate.
Exactly.
Everybody knows.
Yes.
Like, you see the top 3 recruiting classes were pretty much Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia for the last 5 years. Those have been the 3 teams that have been in the playoffs every single year. But I also want to acknowledge, like, Michigan has recruited some big stars who are very much that national brand recruit. But in the past, they've also had a lot of really good talent come out of those lower, like, diamond in the rough type players.
Yeah, and that's probably a result. And I completely agree. We're not going to venture into you don't need to recruit high school. You clearly do, but there's also an element, and I think Jim and this coaching staff's doing a really good job of, we're going to go after the top dogs like a Jaden Davis, but we're also going to find those guys maybe under the radar that are good fits to what our system, to our scheme, to our culture, to our locker room, and are going to be productive players. Now, I want to pivot a little bit from Devon Baxter, who, again, circling back to the player, there's lots of like. A little raw, 6'6", 225, needs to put on some weight. Really good in space, has really good length. That's 2 things that, especially what Michigan looks for in their edge guys, like that's going to be a big-time thing for Michigan. Not surprised why Jesse Minter goes after him. I want to talk about what else could we see from Michigan coming up on this June 23rd visit. Some updates, right? Taylor Tatum sounds like he's not going to be coming on his official visit. Seems like he's going to USC. We took Mike Campana. We're good at that linebacker spot. Aaron Childs, obviously going to Florida. Some other guys at that edge position that I want to take a look at. Darian Mayo, who is 6'7". You talk about length. This dude should be playing basketball. Every Power 5 team in the program in the country wants a guy like Darian Mayo. And Michigan's probably going to take 4 or 5 edge rushers. You got 2 or 3, depending on what you think of Gerard Smith in the fold. Hopefully we can get his little brother. But Michigan's starting to build a complete class. But Dill, the one position that you want to address that we haven't necessarily addressed, and we've talked about it, is that cornerback position.
Yeah, and now obviously the name that's out there is Bryce West. And
yes,
that's
sir.
The one you keep hearing. Aaron Scott to an extent as well. I know he was just here, this weekend, right?
This weekend, yeah.
So those 2 guys they're going to have to fight it out for Ohio State. That's very obviously going to be the competition. But, 2 years ago, if you ask me, no doubt they're going to Ohio State. I think in today's Michigan, you at least got a shot at them. And again,
I think that speaks volumes to where this Michigan program's at, and Steve Klinskale. He's doing a phenomenal job, not only developing guys like Will Johnson. No doubt that's a pitch. Like, hey, elite cornerbacks, what we're doing. Will Johnson's going to be a first-round draft pick, probably a top 10 pick if you're asking me. But he's also just a very good recruiter, known for it on the trail, like a younger coach that connects well. And I'll tell you this, Bryce West was considered an Ohio State lean this whole process, goes on his visit to Michigan, then he cancels official visit to USC the next weekend. That tells you he likes Michigan a lot. And then he's also reportedly, and I'm not like trying to break news here, I don't know if it's true or not, but going to take another visit to Ann Arbor, just an unofficial visit, before his official visit to Ohio State.
Jacob Oden's really getting me excited. I keep seeing his tweets every so often. It's like, we're not done. He's getting me amped up. And I'm hoping something's going to drop because that's what I keep seeing. It's just getting me.
You're seeing this class come together in it's a very tight-knit group, which you absolutely love. And going back at Bryce West, it seems like Michigan getting a lot of traction. He's a top 50 national player. Like another couple of guys that we are seemingly got to close out on. Jeremiah Beasley suddenly becomes kind of a bigger priority after losing out on Aaron Childs. I like our linebacker group. And then Michael Uini from Texas. So it's Bennett Warren and Michael Uini seemingly whoever commits line. We're going to take one more offensive lineman for what I'm hearing. Two big guys from the state of Texas. It's kind of a race to who commits. And then you have Aaron Scott as well. I guess one other guy, Dale, before we close it out that we got to talk about. Gatlin Blair, the speedster who's going to have to take a 2-year mission trip, but Michigan wants to push the ball down the field vertically more. That's been something that we've talked about all offseason. There's no better guy to push the ball down the field with than a dude who runs a 10-1-5 100-meter dash, which is legit. You remember Nicholas Harbaugh in last year's class, in the 2023 class? That is faster than him. That's Olympic-level track speed. He's also 6'2", 180 pounds. And so that's another guy that I feel like a high priority get. We already have, what's the official count now? Our 22nd commitment in the class. Michigan's going to take a big class. They still have a bunch of targets on the board. And yes, some of the guys from a star perspective, not necessarily where Michigan fans want it to be, but this class is still really damn good. And I think as Michigan fans, you're feeling really good about not only the 2023 season, but where we're going in the future, because everything does seem to be turning up Michigan on the recruiting trail. Getting another one in Devon Baxter. Again, wanted to hop on, talk a little Devon Baxter, but also just what's been going on the trail. Appreciate you guys supporting the boys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. And go Blue.